Big Beast Bricks here, and today I will be showing you all of my Lego Spider-Man minifigures. Starting with the villains, first we have Doc Ock. The base of the figure came from a Spider-Man set a few years ago. It was in the same line of sets with the bridge battle. So the figure, I just switched out his arms for green and yellow dual molded arms for the rugby player from the CMF series. Next up we have Vulture. He came from the same set as Doc Ock did. I just switched out his hands for green ones to make it look more like a jumpsuit. Next up we have Craven the Hunter. He came from the bridge battle set I told you about. The figure's pretty good. I just switched out his hands for black gloves. Next up we have the Scorpion. He came from the same bridge battle set. Made no changes to this figure because there's not much I can change with him. Not a terrible minifigure. Next up we have Green Goblin. He came from that same bridge battle set. Nothing I can change about this figure. One of the best Green Goblin figures we have ever gotten. No complaints or changes. Next up we got Hobgoblin. He came from the same sets, or line of sets, that the last few figures have. Pretty good. I don't believe I made any changes to this minifigure. Next up we have Venom and Carnage. Pretty good figures. Not very many pieces I have to change these figures. Venom could use some leg or arm printing, but I don't have any pieces for that. And Carnage is a pretty good figure overall. Next up we have the live action villains, starting off with both versions of the Vulture. The one on the right is the newest one. I just switched out the legs for Foot Clan soldiers from the Ninja Turtle movie. Next up we have both versions of Mysterio. Decent figures. Not much I can change for them. Next up we have Hydro Man. I just used the build from the set. And it's the same minifigure. I just dumbed down the extremeness of it, and I used all the sticker pieces on top to give it the most detail that I could. Next up we have the Rhino minifigure. I just switched out the hands for black gloves. Not much I can change to this minifigure. Here is the Rhino in his suit. I made it based off the Andrew Garfield Rhino at the end of the second movie. I think I did a pretty good job. Let me know if you want a tutorial on how to make him. Next up we have Green Goblin from No Way Home. I gave him the torso and legs from an extra Mysterio I had, but the torso is reversed. I gave him some purple capes, but I cut them up to make it look more accurate to the movie. The head is from Loki from the CMF series, and the hair is just some city hair that is in a dark brown style. Next up we have Sandman. He came from a Spider-Man set in like 2020. Nothing I could change to this figure. Next up we have Electro based off No Way Home. I gave him the head and hair from Nick Fury from a Captain Marvel polybag. I gave him a City's Fireman torso and legs. An arc reactor from a Scuba Iron Man set from a couple years ago with a black neck bracket and the utility belt from Lego Batman. Starting off with the heroes, we have Spider-Man partners. We got the two on the left from the Spider-Man bridge battle, no changes made. The Iron Spider is from the same set that Rhino came in 2012. We have White Tiger that came from the same line of sets as the bridge battle did. And Ghost Rider is in a different set, but also the same line of sets, and Aunt May came from the bridge battle set. No changes made to any of these figures. decent minifigs. Next up we have Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2099. 2099 I made no changes, and Miles Morales I gave him legs from Scuba Red Skull from the same set that the Iron Man arc reactor that I used for Electro came from. I think it is a great upgrade to the minifigure. Next up we have Zombie Hunter Spider-Man. The base of the figure is just the CMF series Zombie Hunter Spider-Man. I just switched out the cape for the new mold because I think it worked better on this figure. Next up we have Peter 3 or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Both heads are the 2012 minifigure. The head on the right is flipped around, and the torso on the right minifigure is just a city torso with red hands and a navy blue beanie with some blue legs. The one on the left is the Stark suit from Homecoming in Civil War with some dual mold navy blue and red legs. Not the one that came with the suit, some other ones that came from Superman, because Andrew's suit didn't have very much leg details in the movies. Next up we have Toby's minifigures. On the far left we have his Spider-Man suit. The torso is from the 2012 Spider-Man that we used for Andrew's. The legs are dual molded blue and red from the same figure, and the head is from one of the 2018 Spider-Mans. Next up we got Bully Maguire in the middle. The torso is from Bruce Banner, and so are the legs. That is just a normal head from, I think, Fern from Ninja Turtles movie with some city hair that is dark brown with the first Iron Man hair. Then we have Toby's homemade suit. I gave him blue legs and a city torso that is red with stripes and a button down with white hands because in the movie he wore gloves. And then that's the mask from one of the Kai minifigures with a filler head to make him look shocked underneath. I think from Lego Batman Guard. Next up we got Tom's version of Spider-Man. The one on the far left is the homemade suit. There's a red beanie that came with the torso, I believe, from a city set. The head is Red Hood from one of the Batman sets with some blue arms and legs with red hands. And then that is Peter Parker with the hair from Bucky from the CMF series, the hair from Zombie Hunter, the head from Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, a city torso that is everywhere with hands smash the head, and navy blue legs. The next Spider-Man suit is from Homecoming or Civil War, and then the one on the far right is from a Far From Home minifigure pack with Ned and Maria Hill. Next up we have the Far From Home minifigures. All the figures are how they came in the box. I could only upgrade the Peter, but not much I could do with the legs. I don't have any pieces for him. Really good figures for this two Spider-Man suits, and the torso on Peter here is really, really good. Next up we have my No Way Home minifigures. On the far left we have Ned from the Spider-Man pack from Far From Home I was telling you about. Really good figure. And then we have MJ that I gave you a tutorial on, the Doctor Strange minifigure lineup for the new Sanctum I'm planning on getting. The torso is from a hidden side character, the female version of her with no jacket, and then the legs are from a CMF series computer one chick that had printing on the side and front of her legs to represent a tied up jacket. And then the two Spider-Man suits came from the No Way Home sets. The pretty good figures. Next up we got Eddie Brock. I used the head from Civil War Bucky and the hair that I used from Bully Maguire. The legs are navy blue and the torso is from a Speed Champions set, and then there's a Venom head on his shoulder that I used a black neck bracket with a black clip and a hairpiece from a Ninjago person that had the purple mask to represent the symbiote reaching off of Eddie's back. We still have some builds. This is the Green Goblin glider that I made. I used lots of parts from the No Way Home sets, the Vulture, and the other Sanctum set to get these printed, these sticker pieces on the wings. Let me know if you want a tutorial on how to make this. I think it turned out pretty good. Then we have a Ghost Rider bike. I just used the bike frame and without the extra thing on top. And I used clips and hinges to get it around the bike. Pretty good. Also, let me know if you want a tutorial on how to make it. Those are all my Spider-Man figures. Let me know which one was your favorite and what tutorials that you want for the builds. That's it for today, guys. Subscribe to Big B's Bricks.